Today we're going to be taking a look at the gambit masters hate facing the most. What gambit is that, you might ask? Great question. It's the Benko Gambit, pawn to b5. We went over the Blumenfeld counter gambit, which is basically an open Benko. The Benko is closed, but the Benko is an opening. If you get some momentum, it just plays itself, and titled players just like to collapse. We're going to be looking at a game I had. It's a 30-move game. Checkmate, played at 98 accuracy. And I have something very special to show you guys on move 16. You'll see what I mean. So the Benko Gambit. White accepts the pawn, and what happens? Well, d5 becomes destabilized, right? You attack the base of the pawn chain, you destabilize their central pawn. They've overextended onto the light square, so you're going to have a very nice dark squared fianchetto bishop. You're going to go d6 to blockade their pawn, so if they fianchetto, it's not the greatest light squared bishop. And you're going to give up your queenside pawn to claim the open A and B file. Why do you play gambits? You play gambits to put some hair on your chest, right? You gave up a pawn, but look, you're overdeveloped. You're more developed than white is, that is. So the point of this bishop on a6 is it pins the e pawn. d6 blockades the d pawn. Logical stuff. Knight f3, knight bd7. Now here, many people will play the move g3, and you're going to get into a battle where both sides fianchetto, both sides castle, and white's e-pawn is pinned. So that's very nice. That's something you have. You're going to route your knight to g4 and e5. Trading kingside knights does help the player playing the Benko. And this, look how similar it is to the other variation, which is the main line, though my students don't get it all too often. e4 is the main line. So you take the bishop and you're like, this is horrible for white. Well, it's actually not. You fianchetto your dark squared bishop and they fianchetto their king. I know. How many times do you hear that? Fianchetto the king. But it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too half bad to me. This rook is open. This king is safe because there's no light squared bishop. It's almost like I'm pitching the opening for white. But I'm not. Stay tuned. So white centralizes their rook. You always put your queen on a5. And this lures them to go bishop to d2. So whenever they go bishop d2, they weaken b2. Never be afraid of this discovery until they play the move a4. It's basically a ghost of a discovery. There are no threats until they go a4, because it's only scary when they can get knight b5 in. And they can't get knight b5 in without their pawn on a4. So don't be scared. Leave it there. Bring the rook over. And this is the beautiful Benko. If you could screenshot a Benko position, this is it. Pawn not to a4. Queen c2 guarding b2. Right, makes sense. Knight g4. So this is all still in the database. You can switch the move orders, but again, you try to get your knight here. Take, take. Try to go c4, knight d3. When are they going to go f4? These are all things you think about when playing the Benko. Okay, he goes a4. Now knight b5 is a big threat. You don't want to get your queen trapped. You don't want to have to decline it, go back or here and get forked. So queen b4 works out in this line. Great move, apparently. Point is, there's two attackers on b2. And if they are to play knight to b5, you just take on b2. Because remember, you have a battery. So they can't move their knight. It's like you're tactically defending your queen. It's very nice. Pawn h3. Now in this position, I looked after the game. There are 6 Grandmaster games in this exact position, so it's theory. I played the second best move, and it's a novelty. I'm pretty happy about that. I mean, it's a mistake, but you'll see what I mean. It's not really a mistake in my eyes. So it's kind of a novelty on move 16. Find the move. In every single Masters game, they played knight g to e5. Now, of course, this is the most obvious move, right? You go knight g e5, you would get takes, take with the bishop or the knight, and then maybe they go f4, and this is how most games go. f4, knight c4, good position for black. Knight b5, it's a little dicey. You got to go queen c4. So it's relatively balanced. In this move game, I played the move queen takes b2. Now let the bar have its laugh. All right, let it have its laugh. It's not that bad. It's plus 0.9. And what is the purpose of this? I was super happy. I played this game at 98.5 accuracy. Or 98. No, 98, 97.5 or 98.5. One of the two. I don't want to gas myself up. It's one of the two. Well, I mean, I am gassing myself up, so I guess I do, but, you know. Queen takes b2, an amazing move. Look, you threaten the queen, so they have to trade queens. You might be like, Balkan Dad, you gave up a knight. Find the move. Find the idea. Rook takes d2. Is that not the cleanest thing you've ever seen? The knight takes the rook. You take, and look, you're, you know, they're up a rook, but you're threatening everything. Well, they're up in exchange. An exchange. And you know how I feel about this Benko pawn structure. If you're a true subscriber, I don't want to chastise the ones who don't know, but to the subs who know, you know I love this pawn structure. It's the most beautiful pawn structure in chess. I will miss it when I start playing the Blumenfeld counter gambit, but I'm always going to dabble in the Benko because I get games like this, and I like getting games like this. So they're pinned. You're attacking absolutely everything. They go rook a2. Bishop takes knight. Rook takes a4. You get rid of the pass pawn. Right, rook a2, you'd love to keep your bishop on the board, but it's not a perfect world. Right? We all know it's not a perfect world. Whichever side you're on, not a perfect world. But you take off the knight, and at least it's a good world, right? You get rid of their pass pawn. And usually I have this exact endgame, but the pawn's on h3. Here their pawn structure is even worse. So remember way back when the computer called my move a mistake? Their only move in this position to keep an advantage is g5. And I'd be okay with g5. And he didn't even find g5. International master did not find g5. He played f3. Now you go knight to e5. You threaten the base of the pawn chain. If he pushes the pawn, this is beautiful. This is beautiful stuff from here on out. I'm going to watch this knight outclass this rook. Every time. Happens every time. Not to mention you have a passer. I love this endgame. I feel like I could write a book on this endgame. Like literally on this pawn structure with the knight versus rook imbalance. It's my favorite thing in chess. It just is. Pawn h6, look at that. Prophylactics. I'm envisioning check, king g7, rook b7, king f6, backwards guarding the pawn. And there's no g5 deflecting my king away from e7. I mean, h6 is a deep move. And it's also the best move. Good job. Good job. Rook b8, king g7, rook b7, king f6, prediction of the year. Rook c7, rook a3, right? Aiming at f3, that is the base of their pawn chain. And now he played the best idea, and it was a lot to process. You know, we have a minute 40 seconds. He pushes. Of course, I take. His idea is e5 check. This is a clearance sacrifice, and d6. So he's pretty good at chess. I mean, he found 1, 2, 3, the best pawn moves in a row, and it's not so easy. Now, you don't want this pawn to become a queen, so you take that pawn. He takes with check, and now I was at a crossroads. What do you do here? I went king f5. That's the best move. King g7 is also okay, but then you got to deal with this, and unfortunately, there's no way to route the knight over to guard this, and I just didn't want to get checkmated or perpetualed, so, you know, we don't play for draws, we play for wins. King f5. Hair on your chest. Grow some. Rook takes f7. You know, it's quite ironic because never mind. King to e4. Rook takes g6. All right, what do we do now? Knight e3 check. The king goes to h3. And look at that. It's a mating box. It is a mating box indeed. Find the winning move. Rook to a1. Very good. Threatening checkmate. And it's not so easy here. His only move for equality is king h2, which you might be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Rook a2, you might be like, oh, it's a perpetual. But no, if he goes here, he's actually losing because of the move knight f1. See, you're just threatening check. Right? King g4, you're probably still going to go rook h2. And there's just no way to stop knight e3, which is actually checkmate. Isn't that an adorable checkmate? I think it's a pretty adorable checkmate. So he would have to go rook a1, and then you're going to go c4, and sure, call it equal, call it whatever you want. I'm going to win that 9 times out of 10, depending on the opponent. But we get g4, not the greatest. You take, okay, there's a check, but you just go king f3. And under the sheer pressure, he played g5, threatening mate in 1. And we checkmated him in 1 move. He forgot g3 was covered by my pawn. So it was an amazing game, like essentially a perfect Benko. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. We'll be back with Subscriber Friday. Send in your games. And we'll do some Sicilian. Now I'm venting. So I think we're going to peace out. Have a great day. Peace. See you tomorrow. Boom.